Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, the show where we discuss the mindset, tactics, and tools required to become a successful foreclosure investor. I do like having guests in the show. You guys know that. If you tune in all the time, one of my favorite things is to bring in top-notch real estate professionals from all across the country to discuss the real estate investment market. But I am so excited to bring on our guest today. We are bringing Kayla Hepner in, who's going to discuss the importance of targeting consistency of $25,000 per deal and how you can build a real estate empire just by targeting basic, simple deals. Let's get Kayla on the line here in just a second. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am so blessed and honored to have Kayla Hepner on the line today. Kayla, what's shaking? How you doing?
Hey, Donnie. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. This is great. I'm really pumped to be here and talk about some exciting things and, just what people should be looking for.
So. Yeah, it's gonna be an incredible show. Let's start with a little background here. Obviously, you've been in the real estate investment space for quite some time. Start me at your origin story just a little bit. Where did you get started in real estate? How many deals have you done? What's your favorite area? Let's get the whole download.
Yeah, sounds good. So I actually got started in real estate from cleaning houses.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, my mom owned a cleaning company, so we were cleaning new builds and getting them, pre-construction, all of the things done. Started recognizing that maybe real estate is where the real game should actually be.
Yep.
So I stepped into it in 2012, got in with some pretty great people. They taught me some amazing things. Decided to pursue my real estate license in 2015.
Okay.
So since then, I've been an active agent and an investor, and we flip houses. I've been a party to about 1,000 transactions since 2012. And, between flips and wholesales and sub-twos, creative deals, I'd say we've got about 98 under our belt altogether. Wow. For all of those in the last 5 years. So
that's incredible. 98 deals. That's pretty experienced, and it's so important when you're looking at, obviously you also do some mentorship and coaching and training. We're going to do an exciting announcement. You guys got to stay tuned. I'm not going to steal the thunder, but with your real estate training and education process where you're bringing people in and teaching, with that level of experience, obviously it's pretty obvious you know what you're doing and have done quite a few deals. What do you think your bread and butter is in the real estate investment space? Of all the different models, what's your favorite?
Definitely flips.
Okay.
Yep.
Why flips? Tell me more about that.
I like the fact that we can come into an area and provide value and, bring the area up to standards, make a home great for somebody, just bring it back to life. Like it's a great, I love it. The before and after, the process, every flip is a learning experience from what we've, gone through. And I think because I like to be go, go, go in the hustle and bustle of things, it keeps it exciting, right? Like there's always something going on. So
I love that. And I feel the exact same way. Like there's so many moving parts to it. It's a lot of energy. It's an energy focused business for sure. A lot of people, don't know, what's involved in it because they get their experience from watching the flipping shows. But when you're actually doing it, it's a whole other animal, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people watch these shows and they're like, yes, I could do that.
Right.
I think it's important to really break down, what's real, what's nonsense, and how do you actually succeed at this? Because reality TV and things that you see on maybe YouTube or, HGTV, you can learn the hard way pretty quick that that's not real life.
Absolutely. Right. And I think it's kind of cool that people, they watch the shows, and a lot of people come to me, they want to flip houses, right? Or they've spoken to another guru, right? And like, yeah, this is something I really want. I heard them speak and I can do this, I can hop in and I can do it. But the problem with the gurus out there, a lot of them are just people who got educated on YouTube, right? But they haven't actually done any deals. Do you encounter that a lot with people who are talking the talk but can't really walk the walk?
Yeah, I have, and we've spent a lot of money believing those people and realizing, like, I think we've done more real estate than you, you know? And
As that thing.
yes, yes, and I do believe that there's something to learn all the time, of course. It's important to keep that education aspect in play. We're constantly learning and growing, and to keep the momentum, right? It's all about
Okay.
that momentum. So while I think that is very true, I think you have to be very cautious on who you're going to listen to when it comes to something as serious as this.
Yeah, and with that, we need to hop into today's topic. The goal here is to discuss how people should be targeting a certain profit target for deals. And the problem I think that people face is the difference between gross profit and net profit. I think that's where we get away from it, because you hear these big numbers. Oh, I made $80,000 on this flip, or I cleared 65 G's on this flip. But it's like, are we talking about what you grossed or what you actually kept? And I think a lot of people can't make that differentiation, which is why there's a misnomer on how much you should be targeting to profit on a flip. So what do you think, if you were to look back over the 98 flips or so that you've done, what do you think your average take-home profit per deal is today?
Great question. I think we should touch a little on the difference between gross and net, because
Sure.
I have a lot of people that ask me, what does that mean, even for taxes, right? And I'm not a tax professional at all.
Sure.
But can we touch a little bit on the difference between the
Please,
two?
hop in on that, please.
Okay, great. So from my understanding, if you're looking at gross, we've got an $80,000 net to seller on the closing settlement statement, right?
Right.
So to title, it looks like you've made $80,000.
Right.
But on the back end, you've got to subtract all of your expenses through this whole venture.
That's right.
So if we made $80,000 on closing day at the title company, that's our gross. Our
Right.
net take home is going to be after all expenses. So expenses for the rehab, the holding costs, the agent fees, all the things.
That's right.
So average, I mean, we all did really well when the market was on fire, right?
That's
I mean,
right. Good
it kind of gave a lot of people a little false sense of, this is amazing. But I would say our average after all expenses and net, we shoot for, we get about 40 grand. But I want to elaborate on that a little bit, because we source a lot of our own deals. And
Yes.
if we weren't doing that, we would probably be closer to the 25, 30, because, I'm not taking into account the fact that we source our own deals. I go on the appointments, we do our marketing, all of that kind of stuff. It all costs money, right?
It does. And that's what's interesting about the system, is the system takes that time and money off of the investor, right? So we're the ones sourcing the deal for the clients, because as you well know, finding deals is in and of itself a full-time gig, right? And that's before you factor in our marketing costs, which for us average about $5,000 per acquisition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you factor that gap between the 25K that we're suggesting investors make and the 40K that you just said you're grossing, it's pretty accurate when you figure in the cost of acquisition, right? And
Yeah.
of marketing to get that deal done. So I think that lines up accordingly. I would say my average profit after 400 flips or so is right around $25,000 to $30,000. But again, I'm sourcing my own deals, right? So I'm making a little bit less per deal, but I'm doing it at a higher volume because I'm factoring in the cost per acquisition in there. Well, what do you say to the people who are claiming they're consistently making $50,000 to $70,000 take-home profit on a deal? What would be your response if you heard a guru out there saying, I always make 60 grand a deal and 25 grand is ridiculous? What do you say to that?
I would say, what market are you in? Because
Sure.
you're definitely not in our market, right?
Right.
I would say, how much money are you spending on acquiring these deals?
There you
Because
go.
probably not accounting for that. How big is your team? Because if we're looking at somebody who is finding these kind of deals, probably not in Colorado, you're going to have other expenses besides the flip expense. So I think that when you hear somebody saying those things, there's more to it for sure, because anybody could make anything look great, right? But when you really get down to the nitty gritty of things, I just don't know that I would believe it. I mean, I would want to see some proof, right? I mean, I would want to see what are your operating expenses. And
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's usually somebody on Facebook who, like, a little background, right? It's like, you haven't done that many deals. Like, why are you giving a play into the averages when you don't have enough data to actually support the averages, right?
Right. And I feel like, you shouldn't have to trick people into working with you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
And winning investors don't have to prove points because
Go.
we prove results. And, time spent on tricking people to work with you or thinking that giving them false hope, right? Like I'm all about set the expectation a
Yes.
little bit low so
Yes.
that I can over deliver
I
and
love
we're
that.
going to have happy surprises.
Yes. And that's the goal, is happy surprises. When we're trying to analyze a deal for a foreclosure profit system client, and by the way, nice segue into that. But listen, if you're looking to start doing deals, right, and you're not sure where to get going on that, the best place to get started, of course, in my opinion, and I'm biased, is to check out the foreclosure profit system by going to foreclosureprofitsystem.com, where we find the deal for you. We analyze the deal on your behalf. We provide the funding. We get the construction crews to fix it, and we flip it while you keep the average profit, happy accidents, of at least $25,000. But I certainly have clients, I'm certain you certainly have had clients that even if you're targeting 25K, they still occasionally make $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a deal, right?
Absolutely. And I want that, but I also want to set the expectation of we are going to put a buffer in here because we need to play it safe.
That's right.
And we have the experience and we've gone through things like, I'm just going to give you a little example that something went through this morning. We set aside a radon budget for one of our flips that we're selling. Okay. And these are things that are important. If you're new, like this is stuff you're not going to know. And even me, we're experienced and I was floored.
Okay.
So we set aside a radon budget because we knew the radon was probably going to come in high. It's Colorado. It's a basement, right? So I called to set up this radon today and it is $5,000 more than we set aside for our budget.
That hurts.
Yes. And it's not because we don't know what we're doing. It's
Right.
because now they are requiring for the install 2,000 square foot of vapor barrier because of how high the radon came in.
Goodness.
However, this is where it comes into play working with somebody like you or myself. We have a private company that puts vapor barriers down for us way cheaper than this company. So now we're back to, we're going to get a cheaper quote on this vapor barrier, right? And still have them install the radon mitigation and save a little bit of money there. So you have to be willing and ready to pivot a little bit and have solutions.
I love that.
Or else you're just going to spend a ton of money and you're not going to make money, right? It's all about the experience and the solutions and just knowing what to do.
I love that. And bringing that up is like, if you're a solo artist, right? If you're just doing this on your own, you and I, between the hundreds of thousands of transactions we've been part of, we've literally encountered every problem, probably twice, right? And so having those solutions kind of in your paddock comes down to actually doing deals. This is why, the gurus that are out there selling their services, or sometimes just out there talking smack about other gurus because they have nothing better to do, right? And it's like they see people and go, there's no way they're doing that, or I can do way better than that, etc. But it's like the truth of the matter is by doing all of these deals, we have those solutions that can increase the probability of the chance of you getting more successful and profitable consistently on deals.
Yeah. And not to interrupt you, I just want to touch on that a little bit. Being in this industry for as long as we both have been in here, you grow and you change and you learn habits and you learn things from people as you go, right? That's part of growth. And I think stepping into really realizing that, hate comes from below, and when you surround yourself with people who are doing bigger and better things and things that you wish you could be doing and you just want to learn from them, you're not hating on them and they're not hating on you.
That's right.
Right? It's a growth mindset. Winners look ahead. And I think this has been a huge lesson for me in the past couple of years. And it's just like, time spent arguing is time spent taken away from making money. And together, people are better. And I think that, getting past that point and learning that stuff is pretty important in this industry because there's enough business to go around, right? Everybody does things a little bit differently and we can all learn from each other. So that's my take on that. I just wanted to.
And I love that mindset of the opportunity for abundance, right? And just the mindset of there's not a shortage of deals in the market. There's not a shortage of need for knowledge or coaching or gurus or mentorship in the market. Like everybody needs our services to some degree. It's just some people can accurately depict the experience they bring to the table, right? If you're a starter attorney, you got to lead in with, I've never actually done a case, but I'm going to work really hard for you,
We
right?
all start somewhere.
We
Yes.
all start somewhere, right? If you're a new agent, remember that when we first got our license, it's like, I don't know why you would list your $500,000 house with me because I've never done this before, but
Right.
I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to earn your business and etc. So we all got to start at that spot, but understanding that the veterans in the industry, the people who have been around for, I've been doing this for 20 years now, right? And the people who have been around the block a few times, they're veterans for a reason. They've made all the mistakes is a big part of it. There's nobody sitting here saying that I didn't do a lot of it wrong or that you didn't go through a lot of crap along the way, but we're battle torn now. Now we are pros in the industry. So when you're looking for a mentor, and a lot of people are out there, they're watching the show and they're not sure if the foreclosure profit system is the right fit for them, right? They're thinking, okay, I'm trying to figure it out. What would you say to somebody who's going to interview a business coach in the real estate space? What would be the criteria for you to hire someone? I know you spent a ton of education, so you can really speak to this, but what would you say to ask them when they're first getting started and getting mentorship?
Yeah, great question, Donnie, because lessons learned, right?
Yes.
Spent a lot of money on education in this space only to find out that I should have vetted this a little bit better. I think when I added it up, I was like, wow, I could have been a brain surgeon with how much money I've spent on education in real estate, right?
Sure. You
and
probably make more than a brain surgeon, right? So it's an interesting trade-off, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So the investment paid off. And I'm sorry, continue.
No, it's okay. It's a cost of education. It's a cost of, learning what we know, but there also comes with a cost of how did you learn what you know?
Yes.
And I wish that I would have vetted a couple of these people a little bit more, because what I've found is, yes, they've done some deals, they've done some things, some of them done some epic things, but they got burnt out. And so getting that burnout kind of halted their business. They're not active in it anymore, right?
Sure.
So I guess my thing, if I was going to be hiring a coach again, would be, I want to interview you one-on-one. I'm going to ask you, okay, you're teaching me this. When's the last time you did this?
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
Show me the last time you were actively doing what you're going to teach me. And now I want to know, this is going to probably sound a little bit funny, but I want to know, when did you, tell me sometimes you failed, right?
Yep.
And how did you get through that?
Yes.
Because I want to know that you're on my side if things fail, and you're going to be able to guide me through how to get through that, right? If I come to you
on that just a bit, because if they say I've never failed, like every deal I've ever done has gone perfectly, do not hire that person. Like, you don't want somebody who has never had some doubt or is not willing to admit what has gone wrong in their business along the way, because that's a sign of maturity, right? If you're able to openly say, here's what went wrong, and to your point, this is what I did to get through it, right? That's the kind of person you want to bring on business coaching. I'm sorry, continue there.
No, it's great. Feel free to chime in anytime. I'm good with it. So yeah, I would want to be able to have that transparency of what has gone wrong in your business, and
yes.
Walk me through how you worked it out.
Yes.
If you want to earn my business, I want to know about your business. And I think that's a fair thing to ask when you're going to invest with somebody to learn something that you want to learn. I would also want to know, tell me about some of your success stories from people working with you.
Yes.
I think that's important.
Because it's a leadership role, and what people don't understand is it's very easy to have knowledge, but some people, mentors, are professional coaches in the sense that they're good at adapting people through problems, and others have all the knowledge but can't really relay it, right? So I also want to know how you interact with people and how you've helped them to get through struggles. These seem all counterproductive to having a real estate mentor conversation, because you really just want to talk about deals in that, right? But if you're going to make a huge investment, you look at the Women's Real Estate Investment Network. You heard of those guys? They're like $20,000 to get into, right? They have 25,000 members. Okay, and one of my clients came over from that, And she said, I would guess, and of course she doesn't know the actual statistics, but I would guess maybe 1% of these 20,000 members, 25,000 members are actually doing deals, right? So all these people paid 20 grand to get into this mentorship group for 200 of them to actually do deals. But why does that model work for them? They've collected literally, not figuratively, but literally $500 million from mentorship. Okay. Do you think they care at all if those people do deals? I'll be frank with you. If I had made $500 million from selling the knowledge in my head, I probably wouldn't care if you did a deal or not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd be too worried about what color to paint my helicopter.
But I think that is something important to talk about too, right? Is okay. I was going to go a different way, and now I'm going to go this way.
All right.
I think it's important that you don't work with somebody who just lets everybody in.
I love that.
Right?
Have a vetting process. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Like you have to qualify to work with me.
Yep.
I think is very important. Also, another thing is, who am I actually going to be working with? There's been multiple times that, well, a couple of times we paid a lot of money thinking we were going to have direct access to the person that we wanted direct access to, only to find out we never talked to that person the whole time.
That's so true. Yep, that's so
true. If you look at the online coaching industry business, I mean, what is it worth? It's insane. And it's like a lot of people pay for subscriptions they never use. And for some reason, I think people have it in their head that if I pay for this, I'm going to be successful. But really what it comes down to is action.
Yes.
If you're not willing to take the action and put in the work and the things that your coach or your mentor or your program that you're in is going to help you do, like, you're not going to see results. So really there's got to be some accountability on your end as well, which is kind of a tough pill to swallow sometimes, right? But if you're going to spend the money, why not put in the work? But I think that it's finding that I've found that a lot of people want that instant gratification. They're like, if I paid for it, it should work. I should know this should be, but that's not how it works. You have to have action. And I think that looking for action takers is really the way to go. And that should be part of a qualifying process when somebody's going to spend 15, 20, 60, in my case, on some,
You're showing how much you put in education, Kayla. That's a lot. But look where you're as a result. What really worries me about the industry is the people who trained under somebody, a guru or a mentor. They spent $60K or they just trained under a local pro for like a year, right? And they did a bunch of deals in that year, and then they want to spin off and say, well, I spent 12 months with this person. I am fully qualified to teach this. So, longevity in the industry. How many deals have you done? Give me some background. But you can't lie about statistics. Like you said, numbers don't really lie. If we look at, just here's for instance, average profit you can expect from flipping houses. This is back in 2023, but here we are on YouTube, and they're saying the gross profit. Remember, we talked about gross versus net, right? Yep. Flip homes in the U.S. is $56,000. What I tell our clients in the foreclosure profit system is that we take that gross and we split it in half to cover all those things: the closing costs, the cost of funds, the agent commissions, right? All the things that are coming into it to level at a $25,000 to $28,000 profit. But it's not just me saying that you're going to make about $25K per profit. This is an article from Yahoo Finance where they surveyed tons of investors all across the country, people who are actually doing deals, not the gurus. And that's a big variance between, what's taught out there and what's actually happening in the marketplace. So you got to look at the actual statistics and listen, the benefit to being consistent in doing deals, correct me if I'm wrong here, Kayla, but you've got the people you've got your trades, right? The people who do the work, you can keep them busy. Your money partners are happier, right? Because you're keeping the money in utilization, right? So if you're looking for these home run deals, I got to make 50, 80 grand on a deal. You're probably 6 to 8 months between deals at best, right? So all the partners that you work with have got to wait for you to find that next deal. Whereas if you are consistently finding 25K deals, how hard is it, do you think, Kayla, for us as professional acquisition people to find a 25K profit? That's not terribly difficult for you, is it?
No.
You can do that relatively consistently, right?
Right. And to touch on that a little bit with the 25K profit, I mean, that's profit. That's what you're taking home. We're accounting for the dangerous things that might come up, right? We're the unexpected. And so something I think is interesting because we look at a lot of wholesale deals that come through, right? And we're like, let's run the numbers, let's look at this. And the numbers don't work for us.
Right.
And somebody buys it and
So
puts it.
every time, right? Every
And
time.
I watch these and I'm looking at this sitting on the market. I look at, okay, this got sent to us on this day. It closed on this day. I know because I've been doing this long enough. They put at least 40 grand into this place for a rehab.
Right.
They've had it for 6 months at this point. They've got this much in holding costs. Now they're selling it for this much, and they've got all of these other costs for
Right.
selling it. I was like, and they've been on the market for 90 days and they're dropping the price $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. So while there's people out there who will buy bad deals, I think that's where your system really helps because you can't just because a wholesaler brings you a deal does not mean it's a deal.
It actually usually means it's not a deal, like because the wholesaler's added a fee on there, right? And then the reality is, if you can't properly vet the deal, the only time you can ensure you're getting the best deal possible is if you're seller direct. Now, this is not knocking my wholesaler buddies out there. We rely on our wholesale network, so I'm not. But the reality is when it comes from a wholesaler, our vetting process increases by a factor or 3 or 4, right? Because we got to be more careful with wholesale deals because they're taking some of the profitability out of the deal. And I myself, my company by design is a wholesaler outfit, right? So we got to add our fee onto that, on top of that, right? So can we make those numbers work and still make it profitable for the end user? Because that's the ultimate goal, is to provide for the client by doing consistent deals that make $25K a year. But you're 100% right. As soon as you add another wholesaler to the system, it becomes sketchy whether we can pull that off and still service our clients accurately. All right, we're gonna take the umbrella off here and talk about this thing we were alluding to earlier. So you were part of a local real estate investment group, the SoCo Cash Flow Group, and stuff happens with groups all the time, and it didn't work out. Nope, we don't want to get into the weeds on that. But what's the future now? What's Kayla Hepner working on now? Because people who have been to that group, that was one of the better groups here for real estate investing in the city. So kudos for that. But you spinning off of it has kind of created this ripple effect of the market. So I'm kind of dying to know what's next. You got to tell us.
Yeah, great question. And thank you for that compliment. That's great. We had a blast with that group. I love providing education. I love answering questions. I love helping people to succeed. Like ultimately, if I can help you get results, that's like, I call it my in the pocket moment. That's like when I feel the best. That's who I am. Right.
Yep.
So, us not doing it anymore, it was a little bit of a bummer, but we just have to kind of shift a little. And I am actually looking into doing some stuff with you, Donnie. I love the idea. I love your model. Like I've sat with you. I've sat with your team. I've listened. You've listened to my concerns. I've listened to what you have to say. I think that there is a real need for us to come together and help people to understand not to spend money on a guru and then you're sitting with a house for 9 months that's not going to make you any money.
Or maybe worse still, start to jump in, spend all this money on the guru and then never do a deal at all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Money and it's like, well, what now? Well, I'm going to teach you how to find deals. Well, look, bro, if I had time to find deals between my day job and all the other things I'm doing, I wouldn't need you at all, right? I could just figure this out, right? So I love that. I love the heart of the system, bringing the deals to them, and how you have a heart for education, which is critical. But education, and what I love about your group, it was fundamentally free. People were coming in and they were able to glean from your knowledge with no charge at all. So education is critical. But if you're going to pay for a guru or a system, you got to make sure they're getting you results. Continue from there, though. What's your vision?
Yeah. And what I found was it got a little overwhelming.
Sure.
Because it was free and because people want to learn. They want somebody they can trust, and oh my gosh, I loved every moment with everybody. And I had lots of phone calls with people and it was great. But we lacked the back end a little bit, right? Of keeping the follow-up, actually providing solutions and helping and, having a purpose.
Yeah.
And, you and I talked about this. I want to do things with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think bring a group together that also has the same mindset. We want to make money, but we want to have a purpose and we want to give back. And I think coming together in some sort of way, which we're still working on details, right, to give back to the community, be more involved, I think that would make more of a difference than what we were doing. And I really want to have impact.
I
So,
love your heart for that. And it sounds like just like making a profit for purpose.
yes, exactly.
And you see what I did there? It's not
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We're going to have an official announcement, and we're not going to, we'll get it out there because we're still working out some of the details. But I am very excited to be partnering with you, Kayla, on doing this local real estate investment group where people who are ready to do deals can get into the foreclosure profit system and immediately start clicking off deals, right? And people who still need the education, which is your heart in that area, can come in and learn what it takes to do deals and provide deals to the people who are ready to do deals. So
Exactly.
it becomes an economic structure that it helps itself out.
Self-sustaining. Yeah.
This new group that we're putting together is going to be game changing. I know we don't have first date for the meeting, so I don't want to over announce here a little bit, but it's an absolute honor. And I'm so excited that I get to be a part of a group with you and we can start doing some cool stuff in that space and maybe make some profit with some purpose behind it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited too. And I'm so excited to meet new people, find investors who actually care about numbers, not just hype. Like,
yes,
there's so much hype in the investment world, right? It makes it seem very easy. You know, people that are looking to build long-term wealth and learn how to actually do this and learn from, you know, people who actually take action and like real strategy, which is pretty cool.
It's important. I think that's where the foreclosure profit system comes in. And I love to take credit for it because let's face it, I'm a camera whore and it's just my thing. But
I'm pretty impressed. You've done a good job with it.
Thank you. I think it's all about the image. I'm good at that. But the reality is I would be nothing without my team. And that's what people don't, it gets hard on the show because I try to bring the team members on, but they're so busy just getting their time long enough to come on the show is kind of a struggle. But what people don't get is it's not me doing this. I've got an expert in finding deals, an acquisition manager, right? I've got an analyst on the team to make sure that the deals are analyzed properly. I still do the analysis myself personally and verify it because if I'm going to stamp my name on it, as I'm sure you feel, right? It's got to be my knowledge attached to the analysis, but I've got a funding manager. I got a project manager to do the flips. Steve was on the show last week. And of course we have a team agent to help you to sell it, but I make it look good. But the reality is it's my team that makes this whole thing possible, you know? And that's what I would encourage when people are getting a guru, like you said, you want access to the coach or mentor directly, but you also want to know that they've got people behind them that helps them to do this well. Nobody wins a Super Bowl or starts a Fortune 500 company on their own.
No,
right?
absolutely.
So you got to know the team that's behind you and you being on the team, Kayla, and joining up in the recruiting side for the system, but also the real heart for this, which is educating and getting people who are not quite qualified to do a deal to the point where they can do a deal. I think is what this new group we're putting together is really going to focus on. And I'm so excited about getting our first meeting going on that. You know, that's kind of our show, Kayla. Any parting thoughts on focusing on $25,000 averages? Why is it so important to not aim too high on deals? Could you kind of give us some final thoughts on that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So we touched on happy surprises, right? We all like happy surprises. If you are looking at your numbers and you're like, I know that no matter what, I'm going to walk away with 25 grand and I can live with that and this deal works.
Yes.
Like, where else can you invest
legally
and walk away with that return on investment? I mean,
that's right.
Also having a whole team behind you to help you with, like, so you don't make mistakes. Right?
That's beautiful.
If I could have started that way, do you know how much further ahead I'd probably be?
I feel the exact same way. You know, I hired a mentor when I was very early in my career and he was awesome. Like he definitely got me going, but I look back and he was very good.
The same one.
We certainly did. Shout out to Mike Jake. And I'll always like to say something nice about him because he's really why I'm sitting here today. And I love that you and I mentored under him as well, because he's a big part of why we're so successful. But I look back and I go, you know, Mike was really good at helping me to find deals. And he brought deal, forget helping me to find. Mike would call me up all the time, say, hey, I found one. If you can get there first, it's yours, right? And
he's
so
a deal machine,
he's a deal machine, right? So that was awesome. He helped me with analysis and making sure the deal was solid, and he connected me with the lenders. But that's kind of where Mike stopped, right? He got you into the deal and it was on you to get yourself out. What I love about my system is it goes those next two steps, right? It takes you to the let's work on the flip part because the fixed part's one of the hardest parts. You have the benefit to being with your project manager, right? You're directly involved. I was too. I'm married to my project manager, so we had that ability, but most people, they got to figure that out, right? So the system handles that. And then of course we've got a team agent to list and sell the property for a substantial discount against retail. So it's just more of an end-to-end solution. And to your point, I would be much further, not that I'm not doing amazing, but I would be much further along if I'd gotten to a system that encountered those other problems. I didn't have to face them on my own, right?
Right. And I know we need to wrap up, but real quick, just to touch on that. I don't think people realize that having a project manager and contractors that you can rely on are so important, because if that contractor that you think you can rely on, but you don't have anybody, there to hold them accountable, screws anything up, decides to walk on the job, not show up for a week, that eats away at your budget so quick. I mean, we've had times where we've had to fire contractors and basically start all over, which was double the cost.
Sure.
For our flip.
You got to undo the bad work to then replace it with the new, better work, right?
Right. So your system already having people in place that you can rely on, they do a good job. They are on the team. It's a group effort. Like, I don't think people realize how special that is. Like, that is a rarity.
Well, thank you. It warms my heart to hear you say that, because I really, obviously the goal, and everybody in life is trying to do right, and do right by people, but it's tough because there's always going to be naysayers out there. People you've worked with in the past that maybe it didn't go so well, people who just think they know more than you after spending 12 months in the business, or suddenly I'm an expert. You should be focusing on me. It's like, well, why don't you check with me 20 years from now, right? Let's just kind of see if you're still feeling like you know anything. But when you meet people who are experienced like yourself, who acknowledge that there's a heart behind this, right? Yes, it's about making money. We all want to make a lot of money, but if you can also do right by people and build a system that can help you to find, figure, fund, fix, and flip a deal accurately and profitably with consistent profits of 25 grand, it is truly game changing. And it's an honor to bring people like yourself on board to this, who can help promote the system, but also offer that next education and meetup piece. I love the parties. I love meeting with people and talking and hanging out and et cetera. And I'm so busy, I don't get to do that. But with this new group that you're bringing on, I'm excited about getting to hang out with people and camaraderie and all the stuff that comes from that. So it's going to be awesome. We'll get more details to you guys out there as we have them to provide to you. Well, Kayla, that's kind of our show today. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Excited about what the future holds for the system and for this new group that we're putting together. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. Thanks, Donnie. I'm so excited too.
We'll talk soon. Well, guys, you heard it here. There's a new group being launched here in the Colorado Springs and beyond market. Keep in mind the foreclosure profit system does most of their deals right here in the Colorado market, but we're expanding into Arizona right now. And with Kayla joining on board, we're going to be doing a lot more group meetups. So stay tuned for that. Wherever you find your meetups, we're going to be on Eventbrite. We're going to be on meetup.com. And listen, the goal here is to do consistent business, 25K deals. Forget what you're being told out there that you can make $50,000, $80,000 a deal, or if you're only going to make 25 grand in a deal, you should be looking elsewhere. Listen, the fact of the matter is smart investors can do 4 deals a year consistently with the foreclosure profit system at an average profit of $25,000. That equates to consistent profits, consistent revenue, and changing your life through real estate investing. With that, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach, thanking you so much for tuning in each and every single week to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, and reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.